Alright, so here's another video for Decoy Voice. I believe it's about the protests going around the world. So if you guys know already, the passing of Charlie Kirk since it happened, it's pretty crazy how we see the whole world coming together about it, and it really goes to show how influential he truly was to a lot of people in the world, whether you like him or not. And we've seen it, in different parts of the country on X already, but Decoy Voice kind of explains it, so let's watch it.
The memory of Charlie Kirk is starting a revolution all across America, but I had no idea he'd have such an impact in the UK, all the way down to marches in Australia and back up to movements in South Korea, where ironically this reminds me of those recent riots in France 4 days ago where the far left burned a Korean restaurant in protest of French leadership, as these concur.
So that's something you'll never see in the mainstream media. They'll never show you that part right there, where they're burning, and it's crazy too how these lefties are burning, these places. Not just that, a Korean restaurant of all things, and these are the people who are supposed to be on the minority side, right? Pretty wild stuff. And yeah, I didn't know Australia did it too. That's crazy.
Protests just highlight the key differences between the left and the right, as reportedly this TikTok was about Charlie.
The best part of this whole thing is that he is not martyr material, so his death will mean nothing. It will activate no one. It will impact few. It's just great.
Completely oblivious.
So crazy how people are so evil enough to do that. Now, I get it. If you don't like the guy, it's best not to say anything, right? But if you're constantly sharing your posts about it, saying, I don't give a shit, you're gonna get some backlash. That's just kind of common sense, right? Now, for me, if there was someone, at the end of the day, I'm human, right? If there's someone that passed away, and honestly, if I didn't know that person, I wouldn't go on the internet and be like, yeah, fuck this person, glad this person died. I would keep it to myself, right? And that's just the reality. But if you're celebrating, someone's death, it's never a good idea. And here we go.
To the vigils hitting college campuses, with huge
good.
crowds even in New York City, as NASCAR races paid their respects. But also MLB games, as the New York Yankees had a moment of silence alongside the NFL, also honoring his life. But then we started seeing.
Notice the difference between when the George Floyd stuff happened, everyone was destroying everything and rioting. And notice how the protests that happened recently in LA, and I can contest to this, I had friends who had their businesses in LA, and people were looting the crap out of that place. And my friend had to defend them off. So, it's the end of the day, it's just like, notice the difference between, someone like the death between George Floyd and Charlie Kirk. Huge difference.
Spain paying their respects. Watches all the way in Australia holding up signs for Charlie, with South Korean citizens singing, "We are Charlie Kirk."
Charlie Kirk was recently in Korea,
where we all knew the assassination of Charlie Kirk was going to ignite American conservatives and moderates, but nobody could have imagined he would become the face of freedom for the entire planet. As at the UK's Unite the Kingdom march, which was reported as 110,000 people, but was more likely millions.
This is the counter-revolution. There's been a globalist revolution for 20 years. We are the counter-revolution. It's not going anywhere, mate.
Carrying posters.
I'm telling you guys, it's gonna happen pretty soon. It's getting there already. It's getting there. And they posted this thing on Twitter, but they obviously didn't show it on YouTube because I guess terms of service and all that stuff. But they're literally having these guys versus the police, and it's pretty brutal, dude.
Of not only Charlie Kirk, but his entire family, as they all rallied behind his memory.
To Charlie's family, we all pray for you, and we hope we honour his life.
I think this is like DCA, so they didn't play, I guess. Oh, never mind.
So, of course, the left tried to make this about the spooky far-right.
What you're seeing here is probably the biggest far-right demonstration ever held in Britain.
And imagine them being scared of this peaceful protest, but when they're like burning shit, they're like, oh, okay, whatever, you know, it's another day, right?
And I've been among this crowd, and I think it's obvious that many of the people here are wearing our flag as a badge of their own white identity and as a mark of hatred of our multicultural, multinational society.
But who knew the UK's far right was so diverse?
そして昔のイギリスを取り戻そうとしてる。これ日本でもやらんと。
Erica
Oh, wow.
Kerr, this is for you. We love you. We stand with you. We will always
Just gonna say this. I know it's like probably in a serious mode, but would.
have your back, and we love your husband, Charlie.
I have to come and support the event, uniting the whole country, bringing everybody together,
I love this.
bringing the 4 nations together. That's why I dress up and then come and support.
I love how diverse it is, too.
So I have to respect the culture.
And notice how nobody was shouting down any of those very diverse conservatives, as they're all embracing Western culture and rejecting liberal tyranny. But nothing scares a political elite more than when the common man bands together against the ruling class. So they immediately went back to their same old tired playbook of protest.
You know what they need to do for these type of people? They need to bring all the illegals, migrants, to these people. Just throw them all over there and see what happens, right? I think the problem is with a lot of these kind of people, they don't suffer the consequences of what actually happens when you bring illegal criminals to the country. Like, they don't know. And what happens is they'll just keep doing this stuff because at the end of the day, it doesn't affect them at all, and they feel like they're doing a good job. So I think what they need to do is bring them over to them and see what happens.
Of protesters that mysteriously get these signs left behind by these mysterious figures, who they later discovered are funded by none other than their own tax dollars.
Wow.
Kinda interesting how the same exact thing was happening in the US until the Trump administration started tracing who was funding these riots, and they evaporated overnight. So of course, to offset
Imagine no one went to jail for that either. Crazy, huh?
millions of angry Englishmen, masked Antifa and Black Bloc had to make an appearance, chanting disgusting phrases.
Oh, here we go.
This is for all the people that want to be here on our side, but
Where their coppers initially admitted the problem areas weren't with the Unite the Kingdom marchers, but the Antifa idiots, to which the Met Police marched them right into each other, just so they could later state there was significant aggression directed at officers by the Unite the Kingdom protesters, but also turning off the replies, as the mainstream media rushed to echo those sentiments.
Love how they narrate that. See, I think this is why a lot of people are just sick of the mainstream media, because it's just they're always lying, and then they turn off posts like that. It's crazy.
Stating far-right activists with clashes breaking out.
Wow.
Marching through the streets of London, one of the largest right-wing demonstrations
hate
to
the
take
mainstream
place in the UK in modern times. Organized by the far-right anti-immigration activist Tommy Robinson, close by a much smaller counter-protest organized by anti-racism activists.
Jesus.
I'm just really against racism.
So close at one point that right-wing marchers began throwing things at them and pushing police. London's Metropolitan Police said a number of its officers were assaulted by the right-wing demonstrators, Dorica, and that 25 people were arrested.
It really seems like every single time they start to lose control, they revert back to the same exact plays, as in this enormous march across the UK.
And that's the problem with a lot of I believe these libtards or lefties, whatever you want to call them. Like, they keep doing the same playbook over and over again when they start losing. And I think people are so sick of it, and clearly it's not working.
I didn't see a single incident of property damage, compared to neighboring France that had their own riots 4 days earlier, as it initially started with the French angry at their political leadership. But then, women carrying French flags were being attacked by those not. With the Block Everything protests beginning to build barricades in the street, making makeshift roadblocks to stop traffic. And then burning buses to stop the streets. As sadly, that wasn't the only place they used fire on the freeways,
What is
as they
going
specifically
on?
burned a Korean restaurant, later attacking the responding French police with trash cans.
Wow.
But the mainstream media didn't seem to cover it like the Unite the Kingdom rally.
Oh,
They
yeah,
seemed
right.
to make it more about pressure on the government and how it started
Jeez.
online in far-right circles, but now happens to have left-wing groups. So when the left burns down entire
Power of the
sections of the
media,
city,
guys.
they're
Holy
protesters
crap.
in Paris. But if the entire community marches against the establishment, that's the far right clashing with the police. But they only classify you as far right, so they can later call you a fascist. As they simultaneously encourage psychos online, they need to eliminate these evil fascists. But now, normal people no longer fear being called a fascist when
Yep.
they just murdered Charlie Kirk over allegedly being one, when all he was doing was having conversations and spreading the truth. And the
Now it's funny. I had a person where like basically was just trying to give me evidence that Charlie Kirk was a fascist, and then you know, one thing I've learned about Charlie was just ask questions, and that's what I did, and that's actually life. I asked him questions. I was like, "So how is this racist?" And he would never give me an answer. They would just be like, "Well, you not see it? It's racist." And I said, "How?" And they never explain. And they always go into the emotional part where they're just angry, but they don't know why they're angry, right? And like I said, I think at a point where you keep calling people fascists, Nazis enough, there's not going to be any effect of it. And let's just say an example: if there is a time where the Nazis and, you know, fascists come, it's gonna be like a boy who cried wolf, and we won't even know it.
more the left goes into overdrive trying to silence anybody that notices, the more the average
doesn't
citizen
work
is
anymore.
finally saying no to their political violence. So as the calls for political violence have only amplified,
Oh,
people are
jeez.
now losing their jobs in neurology at
That's freaking hilarious. I can't believe these people are losing their jobs for celebrating someone's death. And it's funny because we do need healthcare workers, but man, this is funny.
universities. Microsoft is combing through their ranks to do the same.
Good.
And even American Airlines is firing pilots who think it's okay to celebrate murder. As we're seeing a turning point, not only in the US, with Americans making it their mission to dish out consequences, but now conservatives worldwide are rallying behind Charlie, as the left didn't even think he'd be seen as a martyr, but now Charlie's known globally as the face of finally fighting back. So if you appreciate my concise, sometimes lighthearted commentary on the tragic status that is today's reality, subscribe to Decoy Voice.
Yeah, I like this video a lot. I like watching this guy. But yeah, if you guys want to give it a subscribe to and check him out. But yeah, no, I 100% agree with all this. This is it's crazy how everything's happening. But I'm glad the world is seeing this and they can see the truth from it. So yeah, anyways, give this guy a subscribe. I'll put the link below.